King Grisly-Beard. There was once a king who had a beautiful daughter, but the princess was so proud that not one of the princes who came to ask her to marry him was good enough for her. One day the king invited all the princes who wanted to marry his daughter to a grand feast. But the princess said something mean to every man. The first man was too fat. "He's as round as a tub," she said. The next man was too tall. "What a tree," she said. The third man was too short, while the fourth was too pale, and the fifth was too red, and so she made a joke about every man. She also laughed at the king who attended. "His beard is like a mop, and he should be called Grisly-Beard," she said. And so the visiting king got the name of King Grisly-Beard. The princess's father was angry at how rude his daughter had been, as these men were their guests. So he said that the princess had to marry the next man who knocked at the palace gate. 2 days later, a fiddler came knocking, and the king invited him in and said he could marry the princess. The princess begged her father to change his mind, but he refused. So the fiddler and the princess were married. The fiddler led the princess through a wood, and she wondered who it belonged to. The fiddlers told her that it belonged to King Grisly-Beard, and the princess replied, "If only I had married King Grisly-Beard." Next the fiddler took the princess through beautiful meadows filled with colorful wild flowers. She asked the fiddler who the meadows belonged to, and again he said they belonged to King Grisly-Beard. The princess sighed and said, "Ah, if only I had married King Grisly-Beard." Eventually they arrived at a tiny cottage, and the fiddler said to the princess, "This is your new home. It is up to you to keep it clean and tidy." The unhappy princess also had to do all the cooking and washing too, but she wasn't very good at any of these things. So the fiddler sent the princess to the nearest market to try to sell pots and pans instead, but she wasn't very good at that either, and didn't sell a thing. The fiddler said, "Perhaps you could try working in the kitchen at the palace of King Grisly-Beard." So the princess got a job working as a maid in the palace kitchens. After a while the princess heard that the king was getting married. This made her sad, as she remembered that she was really a princess. She knew her pride had brought her to where she was now. Suddenly someone walked into the kitchen and turned towards the princess. He asked her to dance with him. The princess realized that it was King Grisly-Beard himself. She thought he was making fun of her, and everyone laughed at the princess dressed in maid's clothes. The princess ran to the door, but King Grisly-Beard stopped her from leaving. "I am the fiddler who married you. I pretended to be a fiddler to teach you a lesson about your silly pride." So the princess was dressed in her most beautiful clothes, and a big feast was held for her and King Grisly-Beard, and they lived happily ever after.